in the meantime, I want to introduce you to Albert Teo, my friend, who I've known probably for about a decade now, I think, Albert. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, about that. Albert is an original ecotourism operator. He's someone that has actually started ecotourism, and I don't think that's an understatement. He's pretty much started ecotourism in Malaysia, and he's had so many adventures along the way that he's going to share a few of his adventures with us, a few of his learnings with us. And if we have time, he's actually also agreed to share a little bit of his photography because he's an incredible wildlife photographer as well. So thank you
Okay.
so much, Albert.
Shall I proceed?
Yes, please do.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are. This is the first time I do a presentation on this slide. I thank my staff in the office in KK, Erica, who put together these slides based on previous presentation. I combined them. The photo in the lodge in the photo is actually the latest photo of the lodge, Sukau Rainforest Lodge, which has been revised, renovated several times. So my focus is a little bit of a lot of things. The tour company, Boneco Tours, which is now 44 years old. The lodge is about 30 over years old now. And I have a second lodge, which was opened 2 years back. And then I have an NGO, which I combine and use to do my community and the environment work. So you get a feel of how I operate my business over the last 44 years. So I tell myself in 2 years' time I will retire. So I will
How long
follow the
have
footstep.
you been saying that?
I will follow the footstep of Sarah to go to South America to enjoy my 73rd birthday with my wife. Okay. Quickly, we will talk about the location of the lodge, which is the focus of today's talk. The beginning, early years, started in 95. Then following my dreams, I used my business model, which came out much later as I built the lodge, the 3P, triple bottom line. Number four would be how I uh, develop the business and is execute my dream. The fifth is how do I realize the dream by using continuous improvement and renovation over the years. Then I'm last 10 years transiting into my next part of the journey, which is to develop the leadership team. Finally, how I use the business model to multiply on the other lodges, which will be working through my son, Timothy, who is now basically taking over the business so that I can enjoy my life with my 6 grandchildren. All right, quickly, this is part of the northern part of Borneo. I'm based in Kota Kinabalu on the northern part of Borneo coast, Sabah. The lodge is on the east coast in Sukau. That is a Sukau Rainforest Lodge. And the other lodge which we have built is on the eastern part of Sabah at the tip of the nose of the dog. If you look at the profile, this look like the nose of the dog. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, there are two ways to get to the lodge. In the early days, we go by overland, which is 2.5 hours, 130 kilometers from Sanakan, the eastern side of Sabah, which has an airport. And 2.5 hours in the early days when I started, the road was really, really bad. Now it's all sealed. But the alternative way is up across the bay to up the river, Kinapatangan, which is also 2.5 hours. Very scenic and a lot of opportunities to see the wildlife. And most of my villa guests will use the boat, the speedboat. The rest will go by overland. There are two options. Now, this is something that I developed over the years as I read and learn more from other people and books, the 3P. The first, I focused on making the lodge profitable. Second was first taking care of my guests and the local community, and the third is taking care of the environment, which is the planet. So in the early days, I was really struggling with making a profit, and it's very hard to run a jungle lodge, only 20 rooms in the early day to make a profit due to the high maintenance of the lodge. So it's over the years, that's why it took so long to make a profit. So I don't blame people who find it hard to make a profit in the jungle because it's not an easy thing to do. Okay, this is the lodge. How I started the lodge was most interesting. I was looking for this piece of land, and this landowner called Kari, the local village from Sukau, he said he has a piece of land and would like to sell the land to me on if I can help create a job opportunity for the local community people, especially his own children, grandchildren, and all that. So that's how we end up working at the lodge. And those days when I was already running the tour company for 3, 4 years, I always believed that if you want to have a nice experience, you must include the lodge so that guests will stay overnight and have the nice experience in the jungle. Otherwise, the journey in and out is so taxing. You'll never get to see animal by the time you get to the location, which is Kinapatangan River, because it's quite a distance. So this boardwalk now is named after him, who pioneered together with me pioneered ecotourism in this part of the jungle, which is considered very remote. So when I started the lodge, I trusted the contractor too much. We built the lodge without going in to supervise. By the time I went in, I faced a lot of challenges, things that were not done right, types of species of wood that were not used properly, trees that were overcut. So because everybody else thought that the way to build the lodge is to clear the forest and then replant the flower and bushes. So from those days, it has been a tough journey but this is not a 4-star at that time. It's just a bed with full board, yeah, simple lodge in the jungle, 1994, when I was pretty broke by the time I built the lodge. And then following years, it got better and better. We tried to apply as I learned about trying to reduce energy, reduce using solar, using recycled water, recycled cooking oil. Those were the early days when I practiced as much as I can. And much later, it was becoming so good that National Geographic decided to make us one of their unique lodges around the world. At that time, they were at over 40 around the world until they disbanded the brand name 5 years later, unfortunately. Yeah. Anyway, those early days, we tried to apply green principle from my involvement in ecotourism society. So I learned a little bit here and there and got a lot of books to read and learn because there was no peers or mentor I can refer to learn all this difficult part of ecotourism. So it was really a sharp learning curve for me. So looking back after 30 years, I wonder not if I had known that, probably I would not do it again because it was so tough. So it's not surprising that many people in the lodge, in the jungle lodge, this area, if they don't have financial resources, it's not surprising that not many people want to do it because it is so hard. And to get beyond this hurdle of financial sustainability is the biggest challenge before you can even think about wildlife conservation, community involvement, and all that. So I'm glad I managed to break through after so many years of persistence and grit. I would say you do need to have a lot of grit. Okay, so the first part on the top left, solar panel. I could only afford 20 panels those days in the early days, which cost 20% of my total investment. And those were pretty useless because the cloud covers in the tropic and the efficiency of the solar panel and all that the solar cell, the dry cell battery were not big enough to hold the charge, so it was pretty useless. So we only can manage to use it for a couple of hours in the lodge, in the 20 rooms that I built in the first stage. The other photo, the in-house generator, was an addition much later as the lodge expanded. So this is a series of changes we made as we invest more from the profit we made. So this is, I wouldn't say from day one that I had this. The other thing is the other one on the right is not actually the rainwater. It is a septic tank. It is for sewage processing plant, which was only done about 10 years ago because it was a fair big investment. All right. So I think the label was not correct. Okay. This deep pool, my son introduced the idea of having a deep pool using recycled cooking oil. So I'm not recycled cooking oil. You will drown in it. It's actually rainwater. We harvest all our
We're
rainwater.
hoping you weren't going to use recycled cooking oil.
So we have this 400 gallons water tank to collect rainwater all over because in the tropics, one thing you're guaranteed of is rain. And the bottom left is actually the bathroom, which is beautiful bathroom for my new villa room. Yeah. So these are different stages of development. As we grew bigger and more financially strong, we keep investing back into the operation. So from the left is the Curry Boardwalk named after the landowner. The middle is the villa. And on the right, you can see from day one, I use electric motor. So all my river boats have electric motor in the very small tributary where there is no strong current. And this is perfect if you're a photographer and you want us to hear the sound, the songbirds, and this is perfect. And over the years, I've never been more pleased that with that. And I keep investing in it because the little things in ecotourism make a huge difference. And in the end, it helps to build your bottom line. So a lot of people look at big investment and forgot about the small investment. This is the funny thing about ecotourism. We have to look at the small detail as well. Yeah, so it adds up to conservation value, the experiential value, because ecotourism is about experience. Yeah. And a lot of my places, the restaurant, and all that, the bar, the lounge, they are all open air to let you experience the outdoor, the environment, and all that. And our restaurant is the best of the lot with what the view on the waterfront, on the riverfront. Across there, you have the rainforest right in front of you. So the boardwalk is to bring the outside experience into the lodge, because the whole point of staying in the jungle is to experience the outdoor. So this is the new rooms, which was only built about 5 years ago. So this is again another big lot of investment. It's only after we built this additional 20 rooms that we actually could see some profit coming in, because the market has changed. The customer needs and trend have changed over the years. Those early days, I think that they were pure ecotourists, but my son proved me wrong and said that we go up market, we increase the experiential, the luxury part. We use a lot of things in the lodge, which for a lot of purists may think is not very eco. But nevertheless, this is what the market wants. And I think he was proven right. So we built this beautiful boardwalk, and I was very careful that we don't cut a lot of trees along the boardwalk. We kept them, even though it is very inconvenient. So if you keep playing with your handphone, you may knock into one of the tree trunks on the boardwalk. Yeah. And I was so inspired by people who visit, including David Attenborough, who came to stay at the lodge before this was built. Okay, before this was built. So when I built this 20 villa, I made sure that I have the boardwalk named after him, and we got his permission to name the boardwalk after him. So that helps to inspire the rest of the team and help me to make sure I stay focused on building a sustainable lodge. Why this is so important is without my knowing the implication of keeping the trees, I unintentionally found that I was helping to make sure that I have a treetop canopy that is continuous, so that the wildlife can move from one side of the lodge to the other side without having their movement impeded. And this is where the orangutan find very happy to be resident at the lodge, because the baby orangutan need to learn from the mother how to move from one end to the other end of the boardwalk without depending on the mother. So it is quite incredible that on hindsight, I make the best decision to keep a few of these trees there. Yeah. So this is you see on the left picture how many trees I left. This is exactly where the canopy walkway on the top is continuous, so the monkeys and the wildlife, the squirrel can come from one end to the other end. And the best part is we made the boardwalk so wide for photographer, for in-house guests, so whenever they walk on the boardwalk, they will probably see a lot of wildlife on the trees. Yeah. You can see, for example, here, all the photos, big zoom camera, big lens, even a lot of people using smartphone, all to enjoy the outdoor. And I think that one of the unique things for staying at my lodge is this experience part. Yeah, we have two boardwalk that is about 2,500 feet long. Yeah, so it's altogether there are three boardwalk, about 3,000 feet long boardwalk that you can enjoy and do a morning walk and see all the wildlife and all that thing. And I think that this is where our lodge stand out. Can you see the orangutan there on the left, on the right photo there?
Ah,
All
yeah.
the guests are pointing their camera on the orangutan.
And
Mm.
that's Lucky. So you might have to tell us a little bit about Lucky.
Yeah. So we have we have competition to name our orangutan who are resident there. The mother is called Lucky, and the first baby is called Day, because she had a lucky day. She saw mother and baby, so that was Lucky and Day. And then during COVID, we have another baby, second baby born called Hope, because we need hope during COVID, because we have no business, no tourists, no revenue, but we still must have hope. So we have three orangutan resident. Doesn't mean that you will see them every day, because it does depend on the rain, whether the trees are wet, the tree trunks is wet. Orangutan are very careful when they show up. It's only after the rain stop and the branches dry that they bring the babies out sometimes. I don't know where they hide during the night though. I never found out. So this is on the left, this orangutan. It's called Lucky. Lucky has a blind eye on the left. That's how I recognize her. The first baby is called, that's the one on the book that I have written,
Yeah.
Day. And then the latest baby is this one on the bottom, Hope. Yeah. So this, we see, it's interesting over the last more than 10 years now, the orangutan, we see them growing up as I get older as well. So we are like part of the family. So it's very exciting when the guests see them. It's like the dream to Borneo has come true.
That's
I
beautiful.
show quickly, this is some of the wildlife we see, from squirrel to colugo to silver langur to maroon langur, long-tailed macaques, and pygmy squirrel. There are a lot more, and including birds from hawk eagle to rhino hornbill, oriental pied hornbill, fish owl, so a lot more. So how we try to encourage conservation is to have people who come to Borneo, my friends, specialists, who come and give talk to the guests. So we perpetuate the culture of conservation, not just to our guests, but also to our staff, because our staff, our guides get to listen and learn from these guests. Yeah. So it's important. Now, after many years, now my my naturalist guide will go to the school, the local school in Sukau, to give talk to the student. So we have this tradition. I think it's good to say it's a tradition which we hope to perpetuate, so that they pass on the skill, the knowledge, the culture of conservation and love for the wildlife environment to the next generation. Not only that, we also need to have static interpretation books. Some of them written with the two books on the left were written together with Carol Patterson, my good friend from Calgary, Canada. Yeah, so it try to catalog all the past history, simply because I found that after the first generation, the second generation will forget all the facts. And even for myself, I will get the facts wrong. So the only way to capture the memory and the data and the history is to capture it so that the data, the facts, the figures are correct. It is very important, because I realize dementia is a real thing for me in my life now. The next stage of my life, I have to be very aware that the next generation get to appreciate the contribution, the legacy of their forefathers, like the landowner. Uh, Even the grandchildren now are working with my lodge. Before that, when this lodge was built, they were not even born yet. So it's quite incredible when you think that 3 generations has passed since then. Yeah. And this is one of the photo. Most of this stuff probably move on. Yeah, most of the stuff have moved on. But this photo will be uh, inscribed into their mind, because they had the opportunity to meet with Sir David Attenborough when he visited the lodge. Yeah, so this is how we get people like that to inspire the local community that conservation, ecotourism can benefit them, and they have a part to play in the conservation of the lodge and the wildlife. Yeah, so this is a lot of some of the stuff to develop, who many of these actually have resigned to form their own homestay. So they are, in a sense, running their own operation. And that's a great thing. I just lost one staff here, Mas, okay, right in the middle here. She is the head of she is very senior, and then she left last year to run her own homestay now. So it is a credit to her that she has risen up and moved on to a new venture. Am I speaking too fast? Am I okay?
Absolutely
So
perfect. Keep going.
on the left is Sohaili, my naturalist guide. Uh, I brought him once to speak at the Eco Conference in, I think, Townsville some years ago, and he is incredible. He's a local from Sukau, and he can mimic the different voices of orangutan, whether they're sad, angry, and intimidating. He can mimic their voice, and he knows exactly their behavior. So he is one of those who do the guide in the daily boardwalk around the lodge. And if you are staying there, you probably have see him. If you don't, you go to Facebook. He will be the one who do a lot of posting on Facebook, video of elephant crossing the river, among other things. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, this is a conservation project in the sense that here is this guy called Musaling, who is from Sukau. He said he got this piece of land used by elephant to cross the river very often. So this is the staging point where elephants swim across the river, and he want to protect and preserve this land for conservation. But he like us to help him to conserve through passing some of our tour business to him. So we have this optional tour at the lodge, where guests can book this tour, and he will be taking on the tour to his land. And over the years, he has been able to generate some income through us. I think it's pretty good, rather than keeping the land vacant and empty of no income. So this is another way of conservation by partnering and leveraging with the local people. And this is just one classic case where somebody local feel inspired and want to help in the conservation. On helping the planet and the environment, we have recent years started this program every month to have a river cleanup, and many of our in-house guests often participate in this. But more important is the fact that it create this culture among the staff that even though it is not their responsibility to clean the river, their their little the part they play is very important to 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 create the love and the awareness for the environment. I think often we speak about it, but we don't practice it. So this is where we try to encourage them to get involved. Yeah. Okay, now how I do it is I also have an NGO called Borneo Ecotourism Solution Technology Society. This is my NGO, which I set up because I have over the years done too many projects, use just sort of ad hoc without any strategic plan. So with the NGO, I set up, at least we have a department strictly just for this project, environment, community development. And that was set up in 2007, but we, from day one, in 1996, we were already working on environment project. It took me many years to have the courage and the idea to set up this NGO to make it more structured. Once you structure it, you work out the financial commitment and budget, things fall together and you become more focused. So this is one thing that set us apart because there are not many tour company who set up an NGO within their own corporation to do this. So I often read Attenborough's book to inspire myself and to see where I can do things differently in terms of environment, because my focus was on profit making in the beginning. It's only much later, once I become more financially stable, I began to look at community development and environment. And the three things together actually is what ecotourism is about. So we have to learn the meaning of what sustainability is all about. So we have to practice it and not just talk about it. And I think the SG17 goals does help a lot. UNDG, Sustainable Tourism Goal. Okay, this is my model. The people, the planet, yeah, are funded all my project on the environment, the people funded through my NGO. My tour company, my lodge contribute funds to all my project. But over the years, many people, tourists, guests also contribute to our project. So, but we cannot rely totally on them because one thing I find over the years is it is hard to raise funds from outside. And you spend so much time within the organizations writing papers only to get a no answer, and sometimes the objectives don't match that of the funder. So we have to have a system whereby every guest who stay at the lodge, the tour and the lodge will contribute a portion of the guests. We actually charge our guests 20 ringgit, I believe. 20 ringgit is about $6 Australian for every guest who stay at the lodge, so that we have a steady flow of income so that we can plan and project our project ahead. Yeah. Now, this is one example trying to clear the Oxbow Lake of weeds back in 1996, 1 year after I opened the lodge. There's a lot of students coming from UK, they get to stay free of charge at the lodge, free meal, free board, and do some clearing. But I learned some of the mistakes just don't work because I don't have the expertise. I just want to try things out. I'm one of those crazy guys who try first and talk later and learn from it. Okay, water tank. We had to get a buy-in from the community. They use river water, which is so polluted, and they use aluminum sulfate to create sediments to clean the water and all that. But aluminum sulfate is cancer-causing and very corrosive on the metal tank. So I decided to buy this high-density plastic tank for them to use. So it was so good that they depend on us too much. So eventually I realized, much to my own shock, that I have actually unintentionally create a toxic charity culture. So by that time it's too late to stop it, because I finished all the project on the water tank. And I have already moved on to other parts of Sabah. So from Sukau, I use it as my experiment. And when it's work, a lot of people come in with a donation and money, and I were able to implement the same project in other parts of Sabah. So this is quite incredible. Do you see the water tank, the blue water tank there with the sticker, the big sticker there? I think you can see, right?
I can see that.
Yeah, this is to make sure that they don't sell the water tank after they got the
Oh,
water tank. And
okay.
also that we can take photograph to show our sponsor that we have spent the money for this purpose. Is, you see, all the water tank has big sticker. ConocoPhillips sponsor a lot of my water tanks, and over many years and many projects all over Sabah until 2016. And then I started doing this kinapatangan. The crazy thing about planting trees, only to be found that the elephant come back and pull all my young seedlings out from the ground every time we do it. So it was quite a shock. We had to fight with the elephant. So the signboard we put out also pulled down. Everything was vandalized. So elephants are just as capable as vandalism as human. Oh, this is the what they call Prince Henrik of Denmark. He was then involved in WWF Denmark. So we initiate this 64-acre land, which is barren of trees. And then this Australian girl from Edith Cowan University came with the Professor Ross and the student to Sabah one year and say, oh, she can come back and help me do this project, reforestation. And you know what we use? We use elephant dung and cut grass as fodder, as fertilizer. And
Yeah.
through her persistence, it worked. So my staff would easily have given out. I don't know if you can see this photo here. The trees are huge now, very big now. What happened?
Got a couple more minutes left if
Uh,
that works.
okay, couple more minutes, so I go faster. Okay, so 2013, we got this UN WTO award 2013 for our project, which is named from from poverty to social entrepreneurship or something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Well
And
done.
then I was trying to, I have 2015 we were all facing with poisoning of elephant, killing of elephant by plantation by other people. So we thought, oh, maybe we should do bee farming. In Africa, they use bee farming as a way to deter elephant from entering the palm oil. But again, we just don't have the skill set, and there were not many bees. They keep running away. The queen bee didn't like us. They keep running away from the nest. So we had to start the project over. Then okay, so we use a lot of medical camps and in school and all that in other projects. It's all, once you take care of the community, they can then move on to take care of the environment. That was the idea of if they are hungry, they will never take care of the environment.
Hmm.
Social goal. And over the years, we spent over $1 million Australian, 3.5 million to help with our projects. And in Sabah, we had this what you call artificial hornbill bob nest. This is where we install at our lodge, but it is very difficult for hornbill to feel safe to use one of the lodge, because the size of the hole had to be right, the height of the tree had to be right, and the smell of the material that you use must resemble that of the trees. So this is again, a lot of skill and research that is required in order to make it work. Yeah, but if you don't try, you don't know. So I started with buying land, because to use to plant trees is so much harder than to buy a piece of virgin forest land for conservation. This is what we did here. We bought a piece of land and put up a building called to do research on ecotourism. So this is the building that was put up, but due to our lack of expertise and knowledge, we didn't know how to best utilize this piece of land with a building there for research purpose. So we are in the midst of revamping the whole business model for conservation of this place.
Wow.
So we try to raise fund now, doing the duck race every month so that we can raise fund to pay back the loan that I give out to buy this piece of land. So even though I don't have the money, we don't have the money enough money in the NGO, it's still possible if we come up with the source of fund and use this project like a duck race to raise fund. It may take 10, 20 years, but if you create that opportunity, there is a lot of fun in the process, not just raising fund, but having fun. Okay, so every month we have this fund in the lodge, and this is exciting. So we can do project like sponsoring adoption of some bear, and now we are working the last 2 years we're working on conservation rafflesia to help him upgrade his facility. This landowner has a rafflesia site, very exciting. This is one of the project I feel very excited. Recently, we got him to be given a Rotary Club Vocational Award. So give him more recognition because he single-handedly over 10 years have built out this facility with the skill set that he had. So the logo, we designed it, and we designed the T-shirt and all that thing. Oh, the last part is this lodge. We now use the business model of Sukau and applied it in the Sukau Rainforest Lodge. It's only 14 rooms. We take over an abandoned government lodge in the jungle and refurbish, rebuild, rebrand everything within a matter of 1.5 years. And this is the baby my son have been involved in, and it has come out very well because we found out that there were a lot of natural assets for conservation. So our presence has now help to keep the poachers away. That's the main thing. It has helped the government. The land is owned by the government. We are just leasing the land. So we're creating a lot of activities there, including to see some of this unique wildlife in Utan. Very exciting. So our presence there has helped a lot. Just some awards that we got. And thank you. That's all. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everybody. Hope you get something out of this.
I think we need to have you back to tell us more another time, Albert. That was just absolutely extraordinary. Thank you so much. I'm sure that we've got questions. Who's got a question for Albert? Judith, did you have a question?
Oh, I'd love to go.
Go for it.
I'll just making note of the website.
Oh, lovely.
Albert, do you get much support from the Malaysian government?
In what financial support? No. But indirectly at one time, the Malaysian government has this incentive given to all the tour operators who build the lodge in the jungle to have a regional locational incentive. That means you pay no tax for first 5 years. But as you know, in the eco lodge, you don't make any profit for the first 5 years. So that's quite pointless. Yeah. And the other thing we did benefit was the tour operator who bring in so many tourists from overseas. We get tax exemption on our profit. So if you make a profit, that's fine. If you don't make, sorry lah. But now we have to pay tax. So we are happily paying tax to the government. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. Awesome. Good question, George. Anyone else got a question?
I've got another one.
Go for it, George.
Albert, would you do it all again, knowing what you know now?
But I'm too old to start another one.
That's true. If you
But
were
my
young, if you were young, would you do it all again, knowing what you know now?
Oh, I know so much now. So I'm passing the skill to my son who is doing it now, and he is even more ambitious than me. So
Is
you
it?
will see my legacy through him.
Yeah, that's amazing. Some of the things that you've taught us today, Albert, I'm shaking my head because there's so many incredible things that you do from an ecotourism perspective, but also things that, you know, that we can all learn from. Things like the boardwalk that you created with maintaining the rainforest canopy is absolutely extraordinary. The
Mm,
idea of taking a small amount from your guests that actually goes back into the NGO is it allows your business the continuity, which is absolutely wonderful. And some of those lessons that you learned, you know,
yeah,
the extraordinary that 20% of your total investment up front was solar panels. You know, we think of them as just a little add-on now, but that was such a huge part of that, trying to be sustainable. So thank you so much for taking us on that journey.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, 1991 was a long, long time ago
It was.
when we didn't know anything about solar energy. It's
Yeah,
just a crazy thing.
before any of us had gray hair, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I have to say that without trying and making mistake, I would not have learned so much.
Mm. Absolutely impressive. So
Yeah,
thank you
and
so much.
it's true. It's a lot of risk. That's why those days, the ecotourism industry building a lodge in the jungle is unheard of.
Yeah.
Nobody would think of helping rehabilitate the forest when they can't even survive as a business.
Mm. Yeah, and obviously, there's a lot of people who followed in your footsteps and are doing it well. Probably not quite as well as you are doing, but there's quite a lot of people doing it now. So you
Yeah,
started a trend, and
yeah.
hopefully, it's an ecotourism trend in Sabah that continues. So well done, and thank you so much. Now
Thank
we
you.
didn't get to a photography tour, so you're going to have to come back for photography anyway. Also, Albert and I are working on another project of writing a narrative about his lodges so we can engage the young people in his lodges in a different way. So Woon Bing is part of that project as well. So we'll come back and tell you more about that at another time too. Thank you so much, Albert. Everyone give him a big virtual round of applause or a real one.
Thank you.